I don't think it's ethical, and I don't think it's okay. Those guys have a good salary. They make a lot of money. They have a stake in the company. You cannot even talk about the damn token, and now they're dumping it on the market, and we've seen it them dumping it on the market. You know, sure, from a personal standpoint, it's okay, but I think from an ethical standpoint, I don't find it. I don't find okay. The captain is the last one to leave the ship, which means that they should be one of the last ones to sell.
Here we go again.
Hi guys.
How we doing?
Where do we want to start, guys?
Start on the most important thing today, which is the fact that it's Maije's birthday. So happy birthday, Meije.
It is.
You go, girl.
Thank you.
You go, girl.
Almost 30. 1 year to go.
Oh my God, that's where your life starts ending. Yeah, at 30. Beginning of the end.
Beginning of the end, yeah. No, it was cool. I mean, actually, most of my day was just helping drivers today to answering token price questions.
There's been a few of those.
Yeah. But
yeah, me too. I was actually trying to figure out how to cash out when the time is right, of course.
What is there to figure out?
It's kind of hard to cash out through Dutch exchanges.
Like we've been having the issue here. We've had the FCA, like the Financial Conduct Authority, have cracked down on crypto in the UK, so we can't swap anything via Phantom in the UK. Got to use a VPN to show you're outside the country. So it seems to be like a tightening of restrictions in Europe in general.
Yeah.
But anyway, we're not here to talk about regulation. What we got to dig our claws into today? What's on the agenda?
We have actually quite a lot of news. I don't think we're going to be able to cover everything in detail. The main point that I think makes sense to address is this gigantic price spike. I think we can start with there, some of the implications and impact, and then we have a bunch of new news points. We have a couple of blog posts that came out, a couple of announcements on a new dash cam. The AI trainers have been extended to the entirety of the US. New firmwares, a new dash cam has been announced. There's a new open road season that I think we should cover briefly as well. So yeah, I think maybe we can start with the token price. It's been a very thrilling ride going up since last week. I think we've been following it closely and also look at some of the analytics of the token movement. I think that's the most interesting part here, right?
Yeah. So, I mean, for anybody who's been living under a rock and doesn't know, we sort of spiked up to nearly 18 cents. So at one point, I think we were like 900% up on the month, which is pretty crazy when you think about it. Don't know too many other tokens that performed that well in the last month. Settle round, time of recording right now is, where are we? Is it the 5th of December? 6th of December, I don't even know what day it is, at 9 o'clock UK time, 10 o'clock CET, and it's at 14 cents at the moment. So we've had a bit of a pullback, but I mean, it's been going up and then down, but the general trend has definitely been up like for the last like month, but the last week especially, it's gone nuts. So maybe some takes, because I don't really know, to be honest, like anybody, like what do you think's been driving the upwards price movement?
To be honest, from outside looking at this, there is no news. There is no actual reason from what you would expect to drive a coin. There is no announcement.
Well, we've seen bursts in new regions. Like there's been some other, like Prague. There's been some other European cities which have had bursts, which could indicate that they have clients that are interested in more European cities, and that could be driving revenue into it as well. I think the US as well, Arizona being maintained.
I can imagine a 700-800% based on a couple of cities without any official announcement.
I mean, Solana ecosystem's on a bit of a pump in general as well, isn't it? Like you've seen a lot
I think it's because of the some of the Deepin announcements and also attention that Deepin has been getting. If you look over Twitter and places like that, you see there's a lot of people talking about Deepin on Solana.
Yeah.
So I think that might have contributed, but there's definitely it looks to be some organized movement around this token price increase. I don't think it's completely random because it's very consistent. There's not just a simple buying spree. No, it's very consistent over the last 10 days, I would say. And there is some very interesting movement that I think we should discuss, right? Firstly,
just to tell me, like, what are the consistent patterns that you've seen over the last 10 days then?
I think from what we've seen from the analytics, there are a number of bots involved as well in
it's
buying
crazy.
and upping the price. Yes. And then there are a large number of medium-sized buys. So we're talking about $50,000-$60,000 buys, but consistently every hour there's consistently a large number of buys on the market, which is something that we haven't seen before until now. So some of it is to provide liquidity, what we've seen. So there has been a massive increase in the liquidity pool size. And then there is some selling as well, which I think is also interesting to discuss. So
before we get into the selling, just to expand on my theory about the bursts, in terms of like consistent buying patterns, as let's say 50K, in a scenario where Hivemapper had a load of dollars and let's say they have hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of customer revenue that they need to buy the honey token to sort of provide the bursts. As I've said before, they wouldn't actually do that all in one transaction. They would use bots probably and spread it out over time to buy in increments of 20, 30, 40, 50,000. So I think that would be consistent with that theory. I'm not saying that's definitely the case, but it would be consistent.
From what I've seen from all of the accounts, the Hivemapper Foundation accounts are known, right? We can find them. It does not appear to be the Hivemapper Foundation doing these buys. So I don't think the Hivemapper Foundation is at all involved in which they should, right? Once you have the burning of the data credits, this should happen. But right now, that does not appear to be the case. So I think it's purely driven by speculation. And then you have, of course, some selling pressure as well. But the selling pressure, since the payments are only weekly, they happen on Wednesday night US, Thursday morning European time, there is not much influx of selling pressure. So that means that the token price is steadily going upwards. The only pressure which I've seen, which is very interesting, and I definitely want to discuss, is the unlocking of the rewards by founders, right? So all of the Hivemapper employees, those tokens have unlocked a couple of days ago, and
it's actually every first Monday of the month, and we have seen that some employees could not resist even 30 minutes not to sell their stash. So, but what you also see is that actually that big holders, big holding employees, those are actually not selling. So you see that only the low tier employees, if you can call them that, people who got like 300K up to maybe 1 million in the first tranche, those people sold everything between 30 and 100K per transaction.
Dollars. That's important to mention. So
they'll be getting that every month for the next how many months?
Yeah, 12
months. Okay.
So I think that's quite important to mention in this podcast, that actually I wasn't expecting such a sell movement by Hivemapper employees. I honestly don't think it's a good sign for having the employees. I know they can do whatever they want, but being early employees selling right away the tokens, and the worst thing, in my opinion, is that they are impacting the market quite significantly. If you look at the big dips that you see over the last week in price, have practically all been of employees selling their tokens. So the last dip we had, which we went from 18 down to 14, which we are now, was an employee that sold about $80,000 worth of honey tokens. I dislike this very much, not only because I think it's a very unfair compensation. I mean, there are people in here that have been mapping for a year that have never even come close to that amount, and these guys just come in, dump, and just pull the market down.
Basically, some of them are earning, I guess, but it's a guess, everything between 1 and 2 month year salaries every month on the cost of the contributors who worked very hard to bring the project where they are, and actually investing their money into the project as well, and time. So
I have no idea. I don't know how much you get paid as a Hivemapper. Let's say that we've classified them into tiers. You've got Ariel and the co-founders at the top tier. If these are lower tier guys selling based on the amount of tokens that our analytics guys have seen going into their wallet, then put yourself in their shoes, right? Let's say you earn 80, whatever it might be, $1,000 per year, and you have the opportunity to then sell 80K in one transaction. I can't necessarily blame them to do it. I think maybe it's short-sighted on their side, but on the flip side, they're getting so much honey for the next 12 months. I guess.
Yes, but I don't think
they're getting, right.
Sure, but I don't think it's ethical, because you are. Firstly, you can even talk about the token for compliance reasons, but then they can impact or impact, and not only impact, but also manipulate the market, because these sell sprees, they have such a big impact on the market that you completely change the market dynamics. Even if it's for a window of 1 or 2 weeks, it's still a gigantic impact on the market. So, from a personal perspective, of course, as you mentioned, I understand. Of course, I mean, if you get, and I assume that the average pay is about 100 to 120K at the company. Let's say that you get 100K every month worth of tokens. Of course you would sell, but I don't think it's ethical towards the community, because many of us have worked very hard to build up liquidity, right? All of the liquidity, don't forget this, most of the liquidity that's in the pool right now have actually been contributors that sold some honey, did a 50-50 split between honey and dollars in order to sustain the liquidity pool. And now you get Hivemapper employees that already have a very good salary that just dump $100,000 worth of honey, which is upwards of 4, 5, 6, 700K honey. I don't think it's ethical, and I don't think it's okay. Those guys have a good salary. They make a lot of money. They have a stake in the company. You cannot even talk about the damn token, and now they're dumping it on the market, and we've seen them dumping it on the market. Sure, from a personal standpoint, it's okay, but I think from an ethical standpoint, I don't find okay. The captain is the last one to leave the ship, which means that they should be one of the last ones to sell.
Obviously, they're dumping. It's not a secret. It's very public, and it's been watched by the community. I think they should think twice before doing this exactly from the ethical perspective. And imagine 1 year from now, Hivemapper will be holding all their 6 billion of tokens, which gives
as well. Just say that number one more time. 6 billion.
6 billion tokens.
What's the liquidity at the moment like? As a percentage of overall liquidity, that is huge. It's enormous.
Yeah. So basically, they have a full-blown control of the market at any point in time. Actually, they will have the full control within 2 or 3 months.
Yes, that's a good follow-up point there. I mean, it's so many tokens, right? That personally, as a contributor with 50, 60 dash cams, it doesn't feel safe if you see contributors right now basically dumping the market quite heavily, and knowing that they'll do that every single month for the next 12 months, and probably if the token continues to rise, which I don't think it will, regarding all of this resistance from employees selling, I think it will be pretty bad. As Mladen mentioned, 6 billion tokens. But how many years will it take for the mapper community, which actually does the work to map, right? I mean, they're not sitting in an office. How many years will it take for all of the Hivemapper contributors to mint all of the tokens?
3.6 billion. I think everything.
How many years?
Didn't you
I
say
think 5 to 10 years, something like that. Well, at that point in time, we will have flying cars. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, so it concerns, exactly. So I think it's concerning that the weight they have. I mean, this kind of shows you in a bit how skewed the distribution of tokens is within the Hivemapper ecosystem, right? It's a bit of a mirror image to Helium, in the sense that it's really mostly founders and investors that get tokens, and then there's the rest. So it's not very, in my opinion, it never was very fairly distributed. But right now, I was saying that with this sell pressure by employees, you clearly start to see how heavily they can impact the market, even from low tier employees, as we said, right? Employees. I mean, the Ariel and the main founders, they, as we've seen, they got 12.5 million or something tokens. They are probably not going to sell, which makes sense. But all of the rest combined is still enough to create enough impact on the market.
Okay, imagine this: we are in one transaction, or they sell 0.1% in one transaction. The whole market goes down.
Yeah, it's a double-edged sword, isn't it? Because on the one hand, the fact that they have so much of the max supply limits the circulating supply, which means that there's not going to be as much. So if you focus purely on like everybody else apart from Hivemapper, there's not a ton of sell pressure compared to the potential amount of revenue coming in. So we did some quick maths earlier, didn't we? We said, what was it like on a weekly basis? How many million tokens are going out?
Around 5 million.
Around 5 mil. So each month, that's at the current token price, somewhere between $3 to $4 million worth of tokens going out, which I think is sustainable. In the long run, they could definitely get more revenue than that coming in each month. And so if Hivemapper were able to contain the selling of their employees, then the token price could go a lot higher than it is now. But with that in the equation, the fact that they have 6 billion tokens, it's basically the market price is in direct correlation to how much they sell. And like that is the only thing that makes pretty much any difference at all.
Yes. And I think that's exactly the point, is that if from what I was expecting is, okay, Hivemapper employees don't sell because the market is so small, the liquidity is so small that the impact is disproportionate. But now that we're actually seeing them, that they are indeed selling in large quantities. So combined, it's probably over $400,000 to $500,000 worth of tokens that they've sold in dollars worth of tokens that they've sold. That they basically dictate the price of the market at this point, which I don't appreciate at all, and I hope people also complain about it. I mean, they can't in the official Discord, but I don't think it's ethical to sell the way that they are selling now. Let's put it that way.
What do you do if you're in like Ariel and Evan, if you're in their shoes? Because you can't stop employees from selling. There's no way to stop them. And if
you should have think before. We know the tokenomics, the unlocking system. Okay, let's say that's okay, but you should have made a subcontract that even there will be a cooling off period after receiving your tranche of honeys. which a cooling period should be everything between 6 months and a year.
I think it should be much more. I think
Yeah.
honestly, the cool-off period should be between 2 and 5 years. Look, these guys are building a long-term company. So
Yeah.
building a long-term company means thinking long-term. It doesn't make
Yeah.
sense to build a long-term company and unlock the tokens in 12 months. In my opinion, because then you will exactly get what we've seen now, which is employees that are employees, right? They don't necessarily care that much about the company. They will just sell whenever they can. Why not, right? I mean, we said that 80,000 a month extra. That's like a Model S Tesla every month that you can put in your garage. Why not? And I think that's definitely a risk as well. Maybe Ariel's listening. That's definitely a risk that if the token keeps going up and they keep selling every month, they could reach the end of the year with $3-4 million in their pocket. And then why not? And then it makes a lot of sense. Okay, goodbye. I'm going to find something else. That's also so regarding to employee retention. That also might be a problem. But anyway, guys, let's move on. I think we've hammered on this point long enough. Let's cover a couple of other points that have been announced last week. The first one is
we finish on a high point. We like the price action. It's been a nice move up, and we've all enjoyed it.
Oh yeah, sure. But now we are up to the next phase. Let's see how that goes.
Yeah, exactly. So there's been a new open road season announced. I think it's called Kings, if I'm not mistaken. So
I heard the FOMO edition.
Yeah. So it's vastly different from the last one. So essentially in this one, it's a kind of referral business. So if you refer someone else, you get some honey for it. If you refer more people, you will get more. And they also state in there that if you refer a company that needs data, you can receive significant bonuses if they actually sign the customer. I don't think, well, let's say, I think it's a nice competition. I think from getting new customers on board, I have my questions if it's going to be successful. It's definitely going to be successful from referring new mappers, which is a bit conflicting to me because Ariel mentioned not very long ago that they didn't need a large influx of mappers, and now all of a sudden there's an entire competition to onboard new mappers. So I think we'll probably need to wait for some clarity as to why all of a sudden they want this big increase of the number of mappers. So it's basically a referral type competition. So anyone that's mapping will not necessarily profit too much from it in terms of driving. But yeah, it's a bit different than what we used to.
I'm going to put out another positive theory in line with my burst theory, which is maybe they've got a decent amount of clients that have been paying for these bursts. They've been seeing positive results. And the client's like, you know what, this is actually good footage. We need it a little bit fresher. If you can get all of these cities, whatever it is, to X amount of freshness, then we're going to go all in and switch from Google to you, would be the bull case for why this is all happening.
Yeah. And
speaking about fresh stuff, a little side note. I saw a message from Ariel where Ariel said, well, actually we need at some places 3 or 4 times refresh a week. According to the freshness formula that's used right now, that means that people are giving or making a kick-ass product and getting at max 25% of the potential reward in that week, which I cannot really, I could not explain that to the community. Asking them to make a great product for you, even better than you always said you need, because there was always said like once a week refresh is perfect, we don't need more. Now we suddenly need 4 for some clients, but due to the freshness, we will be paying you a maximum of 25% of the potential reward for each hex.
Can you explain briefly, Mladen, why is it 25% of the potential rewards?
Yeah, well, due to the freshness formula, the freshness gets refreshed every 7 weeks if unmapped. So let's say
7 days or 7 weeks or 7 days?
7 days, every 7 days. So basically you start with 100%. And if it's not mapped again within 7 days, it will be 100% again. Okay. But in this case, if you refresh the same road 4 times a week, after 2 days, or let's say 1.9 days, you will be getting around 20-25%. And then the counter starts again. So you build up again 2 days, you're at 25%. Counter stop. You start again at 0 and go on and go on. So, I mean, makes no sense to me.
Well, I think they will have to review the freshness formula for those cases.
Sure.
I agree that it does not make sense to have 4 to 7 times update, which I think he mentioned in his post, a week, and not update the freshness formula. So, well, I think they will update it.
Yeah,
so
I hope so.
think
I hope so too.
Another catch is that Ariel mentioned regarding the foundation rewards for early adopters, which I think might be very interesting to discuss. So as everyone knows, those that were early to the project paid $550 for the standard dashcam. That's excluding shipping cost, etc. And there was talks for a couple of months that it would be very fair to reward early adopters for the effort, especially since the software and the mapping experience was very bad in the beginning. So a lot of mappers actually couldn't map for a very long time. And Ariel always mentioned, yeah, we are looking with the foundation into this. And he mentioned that he talked to the foundation, and the foundation did not agree to reward early adopters, which I find absolutely insane, because we wouldn't be here without the early adopters. And I just heard from someone that early or people that buy a dashcam now would receive 2,500 tokens if they buy a new dashcam now before the end of the year, which means that we got 500 tokens as an airdrop at first. Now people are getting 5 times that. And he mentioned that the foundation did not agree. Now my question is, who is the foundation? Because we don't know who the foundation is. It's incorporated into the Cayman Islands. There's no one representing the actual community there. There's no one actually that has a foundation title that ever said someone or that ever said, hey, we are the official team of the foundation. So I'm quite curious what's going on there. So
and who, if like, who from the foundation would have the authority to say no to Ariel, even if they wanted to anyway? If Ariel
wait. The foundation is an independent institution, not controlled by Hivemapper. That's how it officially should go. But I agree with you. Who in the whole Hivemapper ecosystem could disagree with a direct order from Ariel?
Another way to look at it as well is, like, let's say, so it's a 2,000 honey per dashcam difference, right? If you pay 2,000 honey times however many OG dashcams there were, was that like 0.0001 something like that % of the overall supply to employees?
Yeah, but that's a funny thing, because when it comes to paying up contributors, they're kind of greedy, but when it comes to paying up themselves, no issues at all.
Yeah, I mean, and unfortunately, I have to agree. I mean, I know it's capitalism, but again, you can see it at the tokenomics, the skewness in this. And I think this is another message from Hivemapper saying, we don't want to allocate more tokens. We rather just keep them in pocket.
I mean, 2,500 tokens per camera is pretty generous, I would say. And like, full disclosure, I've bought more cameras based on 2 factors. I mean, the 2,500 honey airdrop is a good factor. I wouldn't buy it just from that. Like, the token price increase, the amount of incoming requests I have from professional drivers, Uber drivers. Like I've had hundreds of applications like in the last month. So I need more cameras to cater for those. So I'll buy them anyway. But the 2,500 airdrop, like that's generous in my eyes. But I do get what you mean. Like old school like contributors might see that as a little bit of a kick in the teeth, considering they got 500 and these new guys who are just coming in.
It's not even about that
as well. Like if you think about the progress that we've seen in terms of like where we were before Dashcam 2.0, there was a long time where it was really difficult to map and drivers have put in a lot of time and effort. So I see what you mean, Meije. Like I can see why the OGs would be a little bit.
Yes, and we have never been actually properly rewarded for all that time, because there were a couple of months in which we were making vastly less than people are making now in terms of number of honey. Because you guys remember this, that everyone's complaining regarding the low token emission. And then they increased the token emission. You guys remember that. So now actually people not only have less issues, they actually get a 4x airdrop, 5x airdrop. The dashcam is cheaper. And basically early adopters, which there's Aria always mentioned, and this is not something that we are making up, right? Ariel mentioned that early adopters should be rewarded for all their time. I mean, I've spent hundreds of hours, and you as well, spent hundreds of hours helping and troubleshooting issues with drivers. And we have never actually had any type of thank you message, even if it's a little airdrop. It doesn't have to be much.
I mean,
even if it's 1,000 honey. It doesn't have to be 2,500.
Yeah, I spent like hundreds of hours in when I used to be a moderator. I mean, yeah, it's crazy. So basically, they're getting the camera at half the price and getting 5 times the reward.
I guess the question is, given the difference in price and like obviously the OGs, we've had a lot more time to map and build up the honey. So is the time and effort we put into getting that honey, does that offset like you know what I'm trying to say? Like the time put in, does that is that offset by the amount of tokens that we've earned in the last like 12 months or however long we've been mapping for? 8 months.
But the difference is that we were driven by hope. And the guys that are buying the camera now are driven by actual financial facts.
Hope and belief, because we've all like to get to this stage, we've had to have a lot of belief in the project as well.
Yeah, no, that's the part. We had the confidence and the willingness to spend that amount of time on them. Right, the only reason that it's grown to where it's now is because of the early adopters that put so much work in reporting bugs, helping people, me as well, in the community, and you guys as well, helping people. And you know, I find it sad. I think I'm not really complaining. I just find it sad that it's very opportunistic to give new dashcam owners 5 times the airdrop. It's greedy, it's opportunistic, and it's just sad, in my opinion. I mean, it doesn't give me a very good feeling regarding the team and the project Hivemapper, and that includes with them selling as well. I was hoping for a bit more ethics in there, but yeah, I mean, it is what it is. But yeah, I think it's not fair to early contributors to what they're doing now.
I mean, remember, you invested in a dream, like April, March, June 2022. Then you get a camera that was like, yeah, well, we all know what it was. You help build it, and now you are recouping actually your investment if you take into account the amount of hours you spent on it.
Taking the hours in, I don't know how many hours this year, but it's been a full-time job basically.
Yeah, and these guys know the token price at this moment. Okay, get the camera as soon as possible, ready to go.
Yeah, exactly. And we had to pay it without the token even being live, if you guys remember. There was no token.
Not even the network.
There was no token. So we had to give out pure cash. Yeah. So it's just unfair. But you know, that's life. I would have expected more from them, but we are learning, you know, with these type of things, we and everyone listening is slowly learning what is the ethos, what are the values of Hivemapper with these things. So I think it's I think it's a valuable learning exercise. Let's put it that way.
Oh
But
well.
guys, which brings me to the new point, or into the next point, I should say. Hivemapper has announced a new dashcam.
Oh really?
So this
Eat.
was quite out of the blue. I think it's quite an interesting point to discuss because it's a bit of a 360 to what we were kind of expecting. We were expecting, as Ariel announced, that the Open Dashcam initiative would spark manufacturers to build new hardware versions, but apparently, since that has been put on ice, at least as far as we know for now, they have come out with an announcement that they are internally working on a new, much better dashcam, which they will provide new updates on in Q1 2024. So that's in a couple of months. Yeah, this is an interesting point. So I guess they've learned from the HDC and HDCS on what works and what doesn't work, which I think is quite clear, right? The GPS issues, some significant connectivity issues. They probably want to push AI towards the edge more in order to prevent large data transfers, which is very expensive, to a cloud platform. So they are updating their hardware platform. They said that they are still going to sell the current dashcams, which I find a little bit strange because the current dashcams aren't really up to the task. Let's put it that way. I mean, the current HDC isn't really a dashcam.
To challenge you, so yes, I agree. It's not really a dash cam because it needs to get the GPS lock in order to then start recording, and that can happen between anything like 1 minute and 45 minutes. So it's not a dash cam. That's fine. But we've achieved, was it like 90 million kilometers mapped or something like that? So it's doing the job. Like it's working. It has a lot of flaws, and we've covered them extensively on this podcast. I'm not saying that there weren't any problems, but it works as a mapper. My take on the new dashcam is, like, from my personal stance, is awesome because that's what I've been crying out for a long time. If we could get, so the wording that Ariel used, I think in the announcement, is it's going to be a lot more passive experience. And if they can produce a dashcam which is passive and works out of the box without any issues, that doesn't have the GPS issues, and potentially even doesn't even need an app, like SIM card in the dashcam, that will be fantastic, and that will enable us to, like, me personally at least, to scale up the fleet. And at least that tells me that they've been listening to the feedback. They know that there's issues with the current dashcam, and they've identified that. They've been working on the new one, and I think that is, from my stance, very, very positive.
If I had to gamble on this one, I think we will be getting an offering together with a Helium Unlimited plan.
Oh, that's an interesting that's an interesting angle.
I think it would be a call-up because we all know that Amir from Helium is one of the investors. It wouldn't surprise me if, at least for the American market, that will be the case.
For America, yeah.
I think,
and for us, like, I can get an unlimited plan for probably a reasonable enough price in the UK. I don't know what it's like in the rest of Europe, but if I have to pay for that and put it in there, if it stops my drivers from having to even think about the dash cam at all, apart from maybe every now and then if something goes wrong, then that would be perfect.
I think it's definitely positive overall that they are going into a new hardware platform version. I think there's also some advantages regarding to open source dashcam, right? I mean, as we've seen with Helium, open sourcing the dashcam and getting third-party manufacturers on board opens up a whole range of issues, like, for example, software support, right? Updates, who is responsible if the hardware fails, because we've seen many cases with Helium where the manufacturer just disappears and then there's no warranty claim honors. So if someone has a broken device, they will not fix it. So I think there are definitely some good advantages of having another in-house dashcam. So I think it's actually, I honestly think that it's a smart move. It was a bit of a change because Ariel announced that the open source dashcam, that they were really wanted to focus on that, but apparently they probably took a step back and they thought, well, maybe it's better to just keep control on the hardware for now. Which honestly, I also agree that it's good. I think it stifles innovation a bit. I think that's a bit of the downside, because if you have many other third-party manufacturers, they will be able to create dashcam for specific niches, which it doesn't make financial sense for Hivemapper to do so, to build a hardware platform for those niches. So there are some yeah, it's a double-edged sword. But I think for now, I agree with you guys. It's definitely positive overall. I wish they would give the option for upgrading, for us to, for example, upgrade to a new dashcam. And even if we had to put in $50, like you do with your mobile phone, right? If you want to upgrade to a new phone, you hand your old one in, you get a $200 discount, and then you have to pay the difference for the new dashcam. I actually think that would be a great idea in order to upgrade the hardware, because the hardware would probably be more potent and have a better GPS signal as well.
As we were talking about, like the kind of OG reward earlier on, maybe that's what it will be for like the early HTC buyers who paid the higher price. They might be able to get like a really, really good deal on the newest dashcam.
Yeah, I'm also interested. Well, within the next couple of months, 2 or 3 months, the warranty on the OG cameras will expire. And what will then happen when cameras start dying, as
they don't get replaced, I would imagine, if the warranties run out?
Yeah,
I hope not. I think that would be a very bad move, and we will definitely cover it if that happens, because the hardware is subpar. I mean, it's okay. It's a first prototype, in my opinion. It's a prototype. I don't see it as a finished product. So I think continuing to support it is the least that they can do regarding all of the issues in GPS signal. I mean, as you said before, if you drive in a large city like Sao Paulo or London, you maybe get 30% lock on your GPS if you're lucky. So the least they can do, and it has a very big financial impact on the mappers, right? So I think the least they can do is continue to support it and slowly upgrade it, which brings me to the point I mentioned earlier. I think it makes a lot more sense to start phasing the old dashcams out by offering replacement options, because that way you can phase them out slowly. People will get a better dashcam. So in the end, it's a low barrier way in order to migrate everything away from the current HTC. They said that they wanted to, or that they are going to sell the current HTC and HTC-S into the near future, which I really hope they update the GNSS and the GPS card inside of the dashcam before doing that. It is, I think, very, very relevant to mention is that if you are driving which the HTC and the HTC-S, because they have similar GPS platforms, if you drive in London and you only get a 20% lock, and they make a new updated dashcam in which you not only get a token airdrop, but if they update the GNSS module, GPS, and you get a 80% lock, that means that you are making 3 times as much honey on your new dashcam as the OG ones. I think that's also pretty relevant. To mention.
That's exactly my point.
So I think phasing out the old dashcams and replacing them, I think that will be very fair to the OGs, because we've been mapping basically with a debilitated dashcam, and then new mappers are going to get the better dashcam, which has a better GPS, which is great, right? I think we all agree that's great for Hivemapper for sure. But we were still stuck with the HTC, which only gets 30% lock in big cities.
I'd be surprised if they didn't give us the option to get the new one at preferential treatment, though, like a decent deal on that. Like we'll wait and see.
Leo, 1,000 token bet. They're not going to do it right now.
I'll take you up on that. Yeah, shake your hand.
Yeah. Okay, good.
All right.
Handshake.
Yeah, handshake.
Yeah. Okay, guys. let's. I think we've covered this one. We have a couple of more points that I think is interesting to discuss. There have been a couple of firmware updates. This has been a pretty rocky, a bumpy ride with the new updates and new app updates. There have been quite a bit issues, quite a bit stability issues around the last couple of updates regarding not recording 000. I had one dashcam which was stuck at 000. We've worked with a full month with Hivemapper in order to get it to work. It didn't work. And there have been quite a lot of reports. So anyone that's having any firmware issues, go onto the Hivemapper Discord, into the bug report channel, and report it there, because there appears to be still quite a lot of work to be done there. Ariel mentioned on Twitter that there is going to be a new buzz report function. So the buzz report is going to contain a bit more like
there's going to be a buzz function.
Who's using that shit anyway?
Well, I have a couple of drivers now that are having a lot of fun with it. So, but there are a couple of feedback points that I wanted to mention here as well. Product feedback points for free. But first, let's talk about all the different new features. So it will have a couple of new features to determine what kind of hazard will be on the road. For example, a car has stopped on the side, so there will be a list of different hazards that you can choose from, which is a bit more like Waze, which I think is valuable. A feedback point from my point of view. Currently, the buzz button is only available on the map function. If you switch between your dashcam menu and the map menu in order to hit the buzz button, it takes about 4 or 5 seconds on a bit less hardware enabled phones in order to load the map tab. So if you actually see an accident and you click on the map tab, sometimes it takes 7 to 8 seconds in order to load the buzz button, and then you'll be far away from the actual hazard. So they should probably
upload like for many pictures in it like a go though. If you press it, it's going to upload.
It probably has. Yes, it probably has some, but I think it makes a lot of sense to speed that up, and also probably add the buzz button on the main dashcam screen. Because why would you force people to go into the map function and then hit buzz? So I think it makes a lot more sense from a product and user experience perspective to have it on the main dashcam view. Maybe it's
almost like you have some product management experience there, Meije.
Well, yeah, a bit.
Yeah.
Well, I think.
Right, having it at the main page, it makes total sense. Like, so you don't have to switch. Yeah, all for that.
Yeah, I think. Yes, I think that makes a lot more. And I'm just purely saying that from feedback. So this is customer feedback. It's not something that I'm just thinking of. This has been really feedback. Hey, it takes 7 or 8 seconds to load. I hit it, but I'm like 300 meters past that, because if you're going 60 miles an hour, if you wait 8 seconds, you'll be a couple of 100 yards. I actually only had one final point, which is the AI trainers have been moved to the entirety of the US. They were mostly in just Arizona, and now if you do the AI trainers, you get imagery from the entire US. So any of you, I mean, they've mentioned that there have been 4 million QA tasks within the last week, which is nuts. Wow. Which means that there are. I mean, that's actually, I'm very fascinated and very excited about that, actually, because the amount of curated data sets you can create for your AI pipeline is fantastic. I mean, you basically, and I think Ariel even mentioned that if anyone knows any company that needs curated data sets in order to train their ML models, that to reach out, because I think if this continues like this for a couple of months, no one will have as many curated data sets of different road assets as Hivemapper has. So I think that's definitely exciting.
Cool. That's interesting. You say 4 million from the past week?
Yes.
That's huge. Yeah, maybe we speak about that a bit more the next one as well, because I think that is quite important.
Yeah, exactly. So I think that's it. I think that's it for this week. I think it's good to just reiterate that I think we all really still believe in what Hivemapper is doing. I think it's a fascinating project with a lot of potential, but I think some things should be paid closer attention to, and there will always be concerns. And I think as long as those concerns are properly addressed, I think we can all just move forward in a very constructive manner.
Mladen, do you have any closing words for this episode?
Yeah, I guess I'm still bullish.
That's good. That's good, short and sweet. I'm the same then, on the same note. Like, I'm still quite amazed at the speed at which the project's grown over the last year. I think that despite the criticism and, you know, the things we pointed out in this podcast, the team has done an absolutely phenomenal job moving at light speed, and I'm excited to see where we are this time next year.
Yeah, exactly.
Right,
All
boys.
right, guys.
Until the next
See you
one.
next week.
Happy birthday again, Maya.
Thank you.
Take
All
care.
right. See you guys. Bye bye.